Hi, everybody. So I'm all done with grading the Universal Grammar summary assignment, and a few of you are not quite on the right track. So I just wanted to clarify a few things and then give you a chance to redo the assignment to improve your score if you didn't get 100%. If you got all 20 points, you don't have to do anything. Your score was great. Of course, if this helps your understanding, that's great, but you don't have to resubmit. If you got less than 20 points, then I would like you to try again and resubmit your assignment. Okay, so I think that a lot of the confusion that comes with this assignment is the word grammar in the term universal grammar. It's just kind of confusing. We're used to seeing the word grammar meaning, sentence structure, meaning like verb tense and subject verb agreement, and do we have the right punctuation and the right words in our sentences, kind of like a what's right and what's wrong about the language that we're writing. Usually is when we talk about grammar. But grammar has another definition. The definition of grammar, in this case in linguistics, means the overall structure of any language. So if I am talking about a grammar of English, what I mean is kind of like a dictionary or a book that has all the systems of English. So it includes all of the sound systems of English and all of the morphological systems of English, meaning the different endings that we can put on words, suffixes and prefixes as well. And then it also means the vocabulary or the words that we use. And of course, it means the sentence structure. It includes all of that. So that's really what grammar means in this case, just the system of all languages, okay? So universal grammar is really talking about what every language that all humans speak have in common. What are those pieces that they have in common? And so this is what Chomsky proposed. This was his theory, is that even though as humans, when we're speaking our language, we don't understand someone who's speaking a different language unless we know that language as well. So there are clearly some differences there, but at the same time, what Chomsky was saying is that there are some underlying similarities that even the speakers may not be aware of because it's subconscious, it's in our brains. This is the way our brains are hardwired, or they're already set up when we're born as humans. And there are some pieces of evidence for that. We're going to get into the evidence for this stuff next week in week 3 when we look at some of the other theories. But one of the pieces of evidence is that when babies are born, they are not born knowing any particular language. Just because they're born into an English-speaking family, for example, doesn't mean that they are automatically going to be able to speak English. And we know that because babies are adopted and they're born into one family, and then they're adopted into, oftentimes into a different family that speaks a different language, and there's absolutely no problem. Doesn't matter. So the language that we speak has everything to do with what our environment is, right? What language we're exposed to. However, there's another piece of evidence that Chomsky talks about, and that is the fact that babies learn their first language really quickly, really efficiently. They all follow the same stages and steps, which we're going to see next week. And so they do it in a very systematic way. It's not random at all. And it's very quick. So a baby who knows nothing at all about the world is born, has no ability to speak or understand any words, and in less than 2 years has almost a fully functioning ability to speak the language that they're exposed to. That's remarkable. Most adults cannot do that. Okay, and we're going to look at some reasons for that next week. Another thing to remember is that universal grammar is not talking about nonverbal language. It's not talking about hand gestures or even, facial expressions that may be universal that we might understand. If a person that speaks a different language than us makes a certain facial expression or a certain gesture, and we can still understand it. That's not what it's talking about. Okay. There are these two really important words that I want to introduce you to, and I would like you to understand them so that you can talk about these in your answer if you revise it. And those are the words principles and parameters. Okay. So in universal grammar, we talk about the principles of universal grammar and then the parameters of each language. So the principles are really kind of like the rules of universal grammar, what all languages that humans speak have in common. This is not really an area where they have this book written out and there's all these rules and they've tested them and they've looked at all these languages. No, it really is kind of like a hypothetical thing. One of the principles that I'd like to talk about that's usually used as an example for this is that nouns exist. Nouns are a thing, okay? So the idea of noun is present in every language. Every single human language that we know about has nouns in it, okay? So the idea is that when we're born as babies, that's already in our head. We already have that idea in our head. We don't have to learn that part, okay? It's already there. It's already set up. Now, what the nouns are in that language, so what the rules are for using nouns, what part of the sentence they go into, if they have to agree with certain words. So for example, in English, nouns have to agree with a verb. And then another parameter of English would be that nouns can be in the subject position, they can be in the object of the verb position, they can be in the object of the preposition position. So there are some different rules that as English speakers we had to learn in order to understand and speak English, okay? So that's the difference between the principles and the parameters. Again, I've kind of made some notes for you here so you can read the information, and then hopefully me explaining it will help you to understand it a little bit better. For the rewrites on this, there's really no due date on this. Just, get it in whenever you can. It would be really helpful if you could do it this week, because when we start our assignments for next week, we're going to start looking at language acquisition. We really have to have an understanding of universal grammar to really get the theories that are coming up next. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about anything. If you wanted to send me a draft of your answer that before you submit it, that's perfectly fine. Or you can just go ahead and submit it and I'll give you feedback in Canvas. Okay, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.